umaga po. Welcome. Ito po ang programang Bawal ang Pikon. Get it straight with Daniel Razon. Makakapanayam natin ngayong umaga isa sa mga personalidad na hayagan ang pagtuligsa at pagsuporta sa mga usaping tatalakayin natin ngayong umaga. Ang mga paksang kagaya po nitong ipapakita namin sa inyo.
Usapang pangkapayapaan, agawan ng teritoryo sa West Philippine Sea, gera laban sa iligal na droga, martial law sa Mindanao. Ito ang ilan sa mga isyong maigting na hinaharap ng Administrasyong Duterte. Tila tsubibo ang nagaganap na pag-uusap ng gobyerno at ng CPP-NPA-NDF. Away-bati ang nangyayari. Ang sigalot sa West Philippine Sea, sa ngayon ay bahagyang bumaba ang tensyon. Ibig bang sabihin nito ay tama ang ginagawang hakbang ng Duterte administration? Extrajudicial killings naman ang iwinawagayway na problema sa laban ng pamahalaan kontra sa iligal na droga. Mayroon nga bang batayan sa mga akusasyong ito? At sa batas militar na umiiral sa Mindanao, patuloy pa rin ang pagkwestiyon ng ilang grupo. Nararapat nga ba o hindi? Higit nga ba sa kinakailangan ang pagdedeklara ng martial law bilang solusyon sa kaguluhang nagaganap sa Marawi City? Peace talks, West Philippine Sea Row, war on illegal drugs, at Mindanao martial law.
Sino pa nga ba ang pwede ho nating hinga na opinyon sa mga ganyang klase ng issue? Isa ho dyan, itong ating kasama ngayon. Let's welcome to the program former DILG Secretary Rafael Alunan III. Welcome, sir. Nice to see you again.
Good morning.
Have a seat, please. Nice to see you again. And you're looking good, ah. Parang sarap ng pahinga mo ngayon, ah.
Kagagaling ko lang ng China eh.
Oh, ano ginawa mo sa China?
Sinama ko si Ambassador Chito Santoromana, who was my classmate in LaSalle. Nangumbida ng mga Pilipino to join him to commemorate Independence Day.
Okay.
So, 4 of us from the Philippines went over there to join him.
So anong doon? Anong significant na pwede masabi doon sa ganung klase ng event? I mean,
Yeah.
Celebrating Philippine Independence Day in China.
That's correct. Very symbolic yun, ano?
Okay. So anong mga nangyari? Ano mga pwede?
Well, I can say na yung reception sa Philippine Embassy on Sunday and the formal reception on Monday sa isang hotel was very well attended.
Okay.
Especially by the Chinese community of the official dome, yung mga diplomatic corps nandoon, yung political security community nandoon.
Okay.
And there was a newfound respect for the Philippines. So, yun ang...
When you say newly found respect,
kasi
parang
natanggalan sila ng tinik eh.
Okay.
Sa ating rebalancing of foreign relations.
Yes.
Sa kanila, at that time, when before we rebalance, sa tingin nila, kalaban tayo. Pero ngayon, now that we've adopted a more an independent foreign policy position where everybody is equidistant to the Philippines, sabi nila tama yon. Hindi kayo pumapanig maski kanino, no? Because your national interest must come first.
Pero paano ngayon yung usapin natin dyan sa West Philippine Sea?
Tuloy pa rin.
How do we balance that? Kung sa ganitong
Two tracks.
Okay.
We have 2 tracks. Yung mga contentious issues are being discussed in certain fora. At saka matindi yung usapin. Dahil sa we conduct frank discussions at the government level at saka yung sinasabing track 2 dialogue. Kagaya ko, for example, I belong to the Philippine Council for Foreign Relations.
Okay.
And ang membership noon are ex-military, diplomatic corps, no, ex-government officials. And we engage in dialogues with our counterparts in China.
Now, ang isang sinusulong ninyo dyan is, of course, kagaya nun,
Ang sinusulong natin, yung ating national interest.
Yes, kagaya halimbawa nga nitong usapin sa West Philippine Sea.
Correct.
Diba na halimbawa yung desisyon ng tribunal.
Yes.
Yung desisyon ng tribunal na paano natin sasabihin sa kanila na dapat irespeto nyo to.
Yes.
Na ang tugon ng sabi ng presidente, pag pipilit mo yan, gera tayo.
Well, ang approach niya lang is I will raise the issue of the arbitral tribunal in my own way, no? My own time.
Yes.
Okay. Kami naman, since we're not part of government, we can freely say so at any time we want. Especially when we have our backdoor dialogues. No?
Correct. But so, sa ganun, paano kayo po-position ngayon doon? Kasi yung decision ng arbitral tribunal, parang yun nga yung isa sa mga contentions ng China, sabihin na hindi namin ire-respeto yan or hindi namin susundin yan. Pero, syempre, kagaya nga ng pagbabalanse and you adhere naman doon sa klase ng ganitong foreign relations, paano mo naman isi-sit well yun doon sa pinupush?
It will take time, Kuya. Dahil sa, on the one hand, yung positions natin are firm tungkol sa South China Sea.
Yes.
As far as we're concerned, we have the ruling, yung EEZ exclusive sa atin.
Yes.
And in their case, they don't recognize the ruling.
Exactly.
And to them, the South China Sea is theirs. Kasi meron silang strategic position. They need to expand or push their security borders outward to protect themselves against their perceived threat, which is the United States.
Okay.
Okay, and so they want to get the United States out. Kaya they're putting up all of those artificial islands. No. So that's a geopolitical strategic issue that cannot be dealt with by just the Philippines and ASEAN alone. The entire international community must get involved kasi yung arbitral tribunal upheld UNCLOS.
Yes.
And UNCLOS is the law of the sea, which is applicable worldwide. So the entire world community must bear down on China and apply friendly persuasion. Kasi if they continue
kasi ang position nila dyan, gusto, pagpipilit nyo, gagarahin namin kayo.
If they continue down that path, there will be armed conflict.
Exactly.
And the armed conflict will be between the US and China. At from our strategic and national interest, no? We cannot allow, or we should not allow the US and China to fight dahil sa they are two top trading partners.
Tsaka ang mangyayari pa ngayon doon, ang dahilan pa ng pag-aaway nila, tayo. Isa sa mga magiging reason ng
one of the reasons, that's correct.
Kasi barang sasabihin nila, pinagtatanggol nga lang namin kayo eh.
That's correct. And it will draw in other countries that are also major economic partners ng Pilipinas, like Japan.
Yes.
And Korea. No? So we cannot afford a war. Ang role natin ngayon is to work with the international community and try to persuade China to back off.
So meaning to say, yung group...
Talagang mahirap yun.
Yes, yung group ninyo ngayon will no longer be pushing hard for the implementation of the ruling ng arbitral tribunal.
No, we'll have to stick to what is already established as law. That's UNCLOS and the ruling. We have to stand by that.
No, pero sino mag-i-implement? And how can it be implemented?
Well, like I said, the world community has to get involved. Okay. And then the other thing is, while we have the contentious issues under discussion on one track, we're also engaged in another track, which is to expand our relations through people-to-people contacts, business, social, cultural, academic, scientific. Wala namang problema tayo dun eh. So the idea is to push that forward while we address this. Kaya lang, I have to say that with respect to the South China Sea, it might take hundreds of years for us to resolve this with China. Dahil sa, you're dealing with 1.4 billion Chinese who are taught early in school that they own the South China Sea.
Exactly.
So
pero ang isang usapin ngayon dyan, parang namamangka tayo sa dalawang ilog. Diba ang mangyayari parang while nakikipagkaibigan ka, you're pushing for something na parang merong away. Dahil parang you reiterate something na you're not respecting the ruling of the arbitral tribunal. And then the other side, eto naman, ikibati ka naman.
There is no difference. That's how China does it. That's how the US does it. That's how Russia does it. Namamangka sa maraming ilog. Because they have to deal also with contradictions. They have to deal with the dynamics in the region. And they have to deal with contradictions.
But the problem there sometimes is how are you going to deal with these organizations like your organization na nagpo-push nga nung ito dapat respeto natin. Are you going to be quiet for a while? Diyan muna kayo parang ano?
No. We take it up the mga dialogues natin.
Yes.
No, we're very frank about it, but in a very friendly atmosphere.
Have you talked it out with the president as well with regard to?
We report also.
And what did he tell you?
Okay lang yun kasi that's the way to approach it. Two-track approach. No, we don't budge sa contentious issues kasi we're backed up by law. No, and we have the ruling backing us up. We can't.
And your organization.
On the other hand, yung people-to-people ties have to be pushed. No, we have to expand it. So tama lang yun. Yung approach na yan.
Pero itong organization ninyo, hindi ito part ng gobyerno.
No.
Diba? What if ngayon ay binigyan ka na ng papel sa gobyerno, iwanan mo na muna yan?
Well, yeah, of course. But our approach naman mirrors what the government is doing. Kasi we're unified.
Okay.
This is part of what we call the whole of nation approach. Whether you're in society or whether you're government, if there's a certain policy direction, then you work along those lines.
Tapos na yung 1-year ban eh. Can you break a news? Saan ka ba namin makikita sa...
That's not for me to tell. Si Presidente lang yan makakasabi.
Pero kinausap ka na ba niya with regard to any position in the government?
Noon, nag-usap kami.
So what was supposed to be that position that he's eyeing for you?
Siya na lang ang magsalita.
Parang napaka-secretive mo naman masyado. Pero ngayon, kasi di ba after na nawala si Secretary Sueño sa DILG, kasi mas ano ka doon, nakamarka ka pa din doon as DILG Secretary Rafael Alunan III. Di ba? Ngayon, naisuong naman si General Anyo. Kaya lang nagkaroon ng ibang pangyayari, kaya medyo na-hold pa. May possibility ba na mapuntahan mo kaya muli ang DILG?
Hindi ko alam. That's really all up to the
But
President.
that will be something that you will welcome.
Well, I mean, if he needs me and I can serve in that capacity and I can contribute to his administration and the people, okay lang sa akin.
But you're very transparent naman eh. Ano ba ang nakikita mong lugar kung saan mas malaki magiging contribution mo?
That's not for me to say, Kuya Daniel. It's really...
But you have your expertise, syempre, di ba? Anong bahagi ba nakikita mong mas matutulungan mo si Presidente?
All I can say is if he asks me to serve the country and the people and in a capacity where I think makakatulong ako, I will say yes.
What is your relationship ba with the President? How close are you to President Bigo?
Well, we worked together 20 years ago when Davao was a no man's land, maraming patayan. I was the National Peace and Order Council chair in that capacity as DILG secretary. No? He was my regional and local Peace and Order Council chairman. Chairman siya ng Region 11. So we worked together to address the peace and order problems of Davao City and the region. So that's where we developed our relationship.
So have you talked to him lately?
Yes. Well, last April, I was in Davao. There was a Peace and Order Council meeting there, and we bumped into each other accidentally, and he dragged me inside the room, and I listened into the meetings that involved the local officials. The ALG was there, DND, and AFP. That was the last time I met up with him.
So nakita mo na ngayon ang mga naging problema natin.
Ay, malaki.
Meron tayong problema sa...
Talagang malaking problema natin.
Oo, especially ngayon, meron problema dito sa Marawi.
Hindi lang Marawi. Marawi is is the center point, but it's really a much bigger problem.
Anong dapat na madinig ng Presidente na nakikita mo medyo kailangan ngayon na i-intensify?
Well, it's not so much the President because I think the President knows what to do. He has all the information. I think we should just tell the oppositors, those who are opposing the President every step of the way and preventing him from protecting the state and the people, to just back off because we have a real big problem here. Ang tinitingnan natin dito sa kasalukuyan is a whole of terrorist network. Ang center point, ang core group is the ISIS, no? Tapos ang nakapaligid sa kanila at ginagamit nila ay yung mga maka-ISIS, those who want to affiliate. Kaya ang nakikita natin yung profile sa Marawi is you have ISIS fighters from different parts of the world, Chechnya, Indonesia, Malaysia, and other countries, together with our own local terror groups, Abu Sayyaf, BIFF, no, yung Maute, no, maybe some elements of the MNLF and MILF, yung mga lost command nila dyan. So it's a very broad coalition of terror groups that we're facing, and they all converged in Marawi because tinatarget nila Marawi as the seat of their wilaya.
Okay. Parang kumbaga ito ang
local caliphate,
gagamitin naming Malacanang namin.
Correct. For all you know, baka mag-spread pa yan sa Iligan and nearby.
But you believe
areas.
that it's not confined there? Sabi mo nga, hindi lang naman Marawi. Nakikita mo ba ng problema natin ngayon dito ay sa kabuuan talaga ng Pilipinas?
Yes, because if you look at the pattern of terrorism doon sa Europe, for example, no?
Yes.
Few people or lone wolves can create so much damage, no? A single person can kill so many using trucks or using explosives or just simply gunning them down or using knives, no? Mga lone wolves yun. Ito sa Marawi, we're talking about a large organized group that's properly supplied, equipped, trained.
May pera.
Oh, may pera, no? And then supported by I would say local collaborators, no? Including mga political personalities. So malaking problema. And that could be replicated in other urban areas sa Mindanao. At yung mga sympathizers nila dito sa, halimbawa, sa Metro Manila, let's assume that meron. It would be foolish for us not to assume, no? They could cause diversionary attacks, or they could utilize only small teams to cause a lot of damage, no?
Saka sinasakyan na nga kahit na anong pangyayari. Ay naako na kahit na hindi naman talaga kanila.
Correct. So, bakit nila gagawin yan? Well, to spread out our troops, no? Our security troops.
Well, having said that, nakikita ni I suppose hindi naman kayo talaga magkokontra sa deklarasyon ng martial law sa Marawi,
No.
diba? And you really think that declaring martial law in Marawi is just but right?
It's a defensive move.
Okay.
The president needs all of the constitutional and legal weapons to use to protect the state and the people.
Having said that, sinasabi din ninyo na hindi naman sa Marawi lang naka-confine ito.
Binomba na nga yung Davao, eh.
Exactly. Would you also concede if in case the president will declare martial law nationwide? Before you answer that, we'll pause for a break. Ito ang programang Bawal ang Pikon. Get it straight with Daniel Razon. Diyan pa rin po natin former DILG Secretary Rafael Alunan III. Before I push with my question, I just want you to see this plug na inilabas at inatras na naman ito. Pero nailabas din ito ng PCOO. Pero inatras na naman nila. Hindi na nila ipinush pa. Roll it, please.
In the free society, there are groups who don't want to give independence. They are adamant on detaining peaceful spirits. They are distressing feelings with fears. Let us not allow them to terrify us. We will all fight with unity. Martial law should be the rule of the land. Martial law now.
Martial law should be the rule of the land. While you are not against the declaration of martial law in Marawi, And you're also saying naman na it extends to different parts of the country as well. Would you also adhere doon naman sa martial law should be the rule of the land?
Kuya Daniel, I'll be very honest with you, no?
Okay, please.
Prangkahan, ha?
Please, oo naman. Let's get it straight.
When I first saw that, mali basa ko eh. Ang basa ko, marital law is needed. Sabi ko, inaapi naman ako masyado rito. Dihado na nga ako sa bahay, marital law pa.
Okay.
Pero sa...
Pwede rin.
Kasi ang sabi daw, ang mas matindi sa ISIS, ay yung...
Si Mrs.
Si Mrs. Iisa lang daw pangalan nun eh. Asawa bin Laden.
Asawa bin Laden, pwede.
No, personally, I think that kasi martial law has a limited shelf life.
Yes.
Okay? It's been watered down. So it's used primarily as a defensive move to protect the state and the people. But you have 60 days, a 60-day window, which can be extended by Congress if necessary. Right? Mas importante sa akin yung Human Security Act. Kasi pag natanggal na yung martial law, that enables the government to have the upper hand against terror groups, insurgents, rebel groups, and let's say criminal syndicates, and the possibility na magsasama-sama itong mga ito. No? It's the Human Security Act or what other countries call their Internal Security Act that must prevail to give the government and its operating forces sufficient teeth, legal teeth, to protect the state and the people. Sa pagkaalam ko, there's a need for Congress to revisit the Human Security Act, which they passed in 2007. Kasi in the process of deliberations, the Human Security Act was watered down. And it's not as effective as the Internal Security Act. Halimbawa ng Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, United Kingdom, and other countries, no, that face terrorism. So my advice, my recommendation is to focus on the Human Security Act because that's the one that ang kinakailangan ng ating pamalaan at ang ating mga security forces, no, to back them up as they secure the land and assure the safety of the people.
But what do we need now in Marawi? Sa nakikita ninyo kasi medyo nakakalungkot yung mga nakikita natin na parang parang kami ang nai-sniper. Parang tayo yung lumalabas na lugi no? Dahil one, meron silang human shield na ginagamit. And two, hindi mo naman matiyak kung human shield na ginagamit nila are really parang baka mamaya ito naman ay mga friendly naman sa kanila.
Kasabwat.
But they are using it na parang ang hirap ng lagay ng mga sundalo natin while they are already close dun sa bakbakan, medyo lagi kang may papataanan. Plus, ayaw ng mga sundalo natin at hindi rin naman siguro magiging maganda para sa imahe ng gobyerno na yung halimbawa ay mosque, babakbakan mo. Yung mga lugar, doon naman nagtatago. Alam mo yung na yun, what do we need to do now?
Well, I think ang nakikita ko rito is number one, and I think everybody should understand, no?
Yes.
Military operations in urban terrain, tinatawag nating MOUT, M-O-U-T, is really very, very difficult. No matter where you are in the world, if you engage in urban warfare in a built-up area, where the enemy is very well concealed in buildings, in bunkers, in other reinforced areas, no, they can control large sections kasi nakatago sila, they can snipe, right?
Yes.
Their machine gun nests can really protect a certain area, protect them, and pin down the enemy. It's very, very difficult because you have to win back and fight your way in, no? Block by block, street by street, house to house. Okay. What we need are more units that are trained in urban warfare.
So So nakikita mo ba yung ngayong mga lumalaban doon medyo
No. We have urban warfare trained units.
Okay.
And they're doing quite well.
Okay.
And they're backed up by units who have vast experience in jungle warfare and counterinsurgency, no?
Okay.
So it's how you apply those forces that will win the day for you. But my sense is we need more mouth-trained units backed by real armor, no? Kasi what we have are armored fighting vehicles that are lightly armored lang, manipis, no?
Okay.
Yung kaha nila, what we need is real armor. Like for example, ang ginagamit sa Iraq, Syria at sa Afghanistan, mga Bradley fighting vehicles, yung MRAP, yung mine resistant or IED resistant vehicles, at saka yung Striker, yung sinasabing Striker. Because this can withstand the RPGs, IEDs, mga heavy cruiser weapons that might hit them. So we need that. We also need to back up our mouth-trained units, more helicopter gunships, no? Kasi it's helicopter gunships that can give accurate close air support, no? More than
na nakikita mo hindi pa nagagawa masyado ngayon, ganun ba?
Oh no, ginagawa, except that we need more assets.
Oh, okay. So anong kailangan i-augment pa natin dito? Kaya sasabi ninyo na yan, more assets. Paano kailangan ma-augment yung nangyayari ngayon to cut this short? Kasi I mean the longer it drags, the more na maraming napiperwisyo.
Well, hindi lang kasi ang military ang dapat they're not the only ones who are depending on to solve the problem, no? There's an armed conflict, so they have to face that. But yung mga terrorists are also supported by the community, no? It took time for them to enter. It took time to prepare for this, no? Paano sila nakapasok? Paano pumasok yung armas nila, yung mga fighters nila, yung supplies nila, no? And then yung occupation of strategic points, no? They were led. They were brought there, and they were supported, no? So intelligence very important, the local governance is very important, and the monitoring by the national government is very important. The National Peace and Order Councils have to be working. The National Security Council has to oversee this whole thing. And wherever we need support in terms of more legal teeth, yung LEDAC has to be, which is the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council. They have to be hard at work, working on a weekly basis if necessary to address the legal infirmities and all that.
Do you feel that these things that you're saying are being done now?
I'm not sure. I'm not privy to what's going on. My advice is for these things to be happening on a 24/7 basis or on a regular basis. Kasi yung panahon ko, sa experience ko during our time, pag may ganito or we're anticipating problems, meron na kaming completed we were engaged in completed staff work. Meaning to say, nag-uusap-usap kami. Teamwork.
Coordinated na.
We're communicating, we're coordinating, we're adjusting plans, as the intelligence comes in. Kasi that's our job.
Pero kung halimbawa, ikaw ngayon yung DILG Secretary with regard halimbawa sa dealing with ganong klase ng situation wherein may mga civilians na nandoon na hindi mo nga alam kung kakampi o kalaban. Ikaw ba, paano? Sige, ano yun yan? Dahil, nandyan sila. Parang, ang hirap na sabihin dahil baka sabihin naman ng mga tao, may mga civilian yan bakit hindi nyo... Bakit binabakbakan? Ang dami pa nakaipit. Mga tipong gano'n.
No, I cannot just go there by myself and... kasi teamwork yan
Yes,
so, on my end, I will convene the National Peace and Order Council and the local Peace and Order Councils, no? Para integrated yung approach namin sa terrorism. Because at that time, I was concurrently also the head of the Anti-Terrorist Council, known as NACAT. Known as NACAT. And considering it's Mindanao, in terms of security, ang usapan dyan is military takes the lead. We're in support.
Yes.
No? So we have to coordinate also. I have to coordinate with the DND, which is my counterpart. No? And then we both report to the President. During our time, we had a crisis management committee overseeing this whole thing. We called it Security Cluster E. And then the President had his own monitoring group called Task Force Lily. So we were all coordinated. No? Of course, nobody's perfect. Kung minsan may palpak. But we automatically adjust. No? Kasi nakatutok kami. So tutukan ang importante, teamwork is very important. Completed staff work is important. No? And yung suporta, yung unselfish support. Now sa intelligence naman, of course we understand the need to know, no, yung approach na yon. But that's while you're gathering information and processing it. But once nabuo na yung big picture, there's a need to share. You know, if that intelligence information is not shared on a timely basis to the right people, you will be caught unprepared.
But looking at it from the hindsight, na nandito na ngayon tayo sa ganitong situation, wherein nagkaroon na meron na ngayong ongoing na bakbakan dyan sa Marawi. Saan tayo nagkaroon ng pagkakamali, ng pagkukulang? Ba't nakarating tayo sa ganong problema? Because sometimes you also have to look at it from the hindsight para hindi na mangyari ulit.
Well, there will be a time and place for a proper assessment, no?
Okay.
For people like us who are outside of the kulambo, so to speak,
Yes,
where our information is only
Limited.
from open sources, no?
Yes.
Ang mangyayari dyan, may perception tayo.
Okay.
Yung perception ko is that we need to look at the quality of our governance. Okay? Kasi yung tripwire, yung tripwire ng security community is our barangays, our mayors, our governors, no? If they're sleeping on the job or collaborating and not passing on the information, dead ball tayo. Okay? Early warning sila. Okay? But we also have our intelligence agents from the security forces, no? The PNP, armed forces, etc. They pick up the information other than the civilian side. They process that, all right? And then they send it upstairs. Okay? So there are two parts here. Incomplete bang information nila, all right? And failure to appreciate at their level. Or complete naman information nila, they send up the analysis, doon naman ang failure to appreciate. No? So all of these things have to be looked at.
Kasi kung halimbawa...
Kasi ang nangyari sa Marawi, while our security forces took the initiative to take Isnilon Hapilon, right? Because of information coming from other quarters, including civilian quarters, no?
Doon lang nila na parang biglang hoops.
Doon lang natin nalaman na na-discover na mas malaki pala ang problema, no? We'll have to examine bakit ganon. How come we were taken by surprise? We knew that they were there, but we didn't realize that they were that
ganun
big.
Pala yung ganun palang kalaki yun. So, merong failure of intelligence, ganun ba?
Well, hard to say failure of intelligence to pinpoint where, no?
Saan doon? Kasi
Saan doon?
parang paano
sa level ng security forces or sa level ng decision maker?
kasi paano nga kung halimbawa yung ine-expect mo din na magtitimbre sa iyo kaparte din pala doon sa pagkilos.
Yeah.
Diba? And how do you look at it now? Paano titignan mo ngayon yung... Kasi ngayon tinitingnan na natin, may nangyari na eh. Yung nangyari na to, parang ang sinasabi mo nga, nabulaga din tayo doon, one way or the other. Dahil nandun tayo for some other reason.
Yeah.
Na yung pala may mas malaki pala. Na meron na palang mga, pati nga yung mga pera nila, ang dami-dami na palang
Pero yun, Kuya Daniel, naalala ko tuloy yung nangyari sa 1995.
Yes.
When combined forces of Islamic extremists attack IPIL. No? Ang experience ko ay ganito. IPIL was Plan B. Ang Plan A nila was Jansan.
Okay.
Natuklasan namin yung plano ng Abu Sayyaf based on very good intelligence. And that intelligence was brought up to us in a timely, accurate, and thorough manner. So nung natanggap namin yan, Pinoses ko agad with Secretary De Villa of the DND, and then we processed it with Southcom. At that time, Southcom pa yung yung Westmincom, to end the mayor of Jansan, after duly informing the president, no, na ganitong sitwasyon. So because of the intelligence report and prompt action taken at the local level and by the military and civilian authorities, we were able to protect Jansan. Most likely nakita ng Abu Sayyaf yun that they were hardening in the city. So nag-fall back sila sa Ipil. And that's where the intelligence sort of faltered. It was not fast enough. No? It didn't go up the ranks fast enough. Itong umatake sa Ipil were forces from yung Abu Sayyaf, no? And then yung mga lost command ng MILF, MNLF, at saka yung mga private armed groups ng mga politicians doon na may hinanakit sa gobyerno. No? Yung tawag namin doon, Pintakasi. Okay. So they attacked Ipil in force. Anong ginawa nila? They looted the banks. They looted the pawn shops. They looted the hospital and yung mga drugstores. They looted the groceries. So they took care of their of all the resources needed to sustain themselves. No? And in the process, marami silang pinatay doon. There were over 100 casualties, dead and wounded. No? And then they razed Ipil to the ground. We see similar patterns dito sa Kwan, sa Marawi.
Okay.
The money that they got, most likely were looted from the banks. No? May mga cheque pa nga no? And of course, one of the places they attacked first was the hospital. So, ang dami nila siguro nakuha doon na medicines and supplies, so on and so forth. No? So they secured themselves for the purpose of sustaining their fight in Marawi. No? They knew they were going to get casualties. They knew they needed food, etc. Ang question ko dyan is, where did they get their firearms? How were they able to smuggle in their firearms? How did they stock up their ammo? No? Et
Na parang tulog tayo.
Oo. And how were they able to infiltrate Marawi? Did they come in disguised? Kasi sa Ipil, they crossed our checkpoints using military uniforms na binili sa Quiapo. No? So mukhang ginago tayo doon. Now dito sa Marawi, did they do the same thing or did they come in as civilians?
Pero meron nang alam that sinasabi nga nila, may information ng Malacanang na as early as April, diba? Na sinasabi nila na hindi lang, sabi nga ni General Bato, hindi lang natin alam kung kailan. Pero meron na silang information with regard to that.
Well, actually, we knew about ISIS even long ago. And in fact, there's been ongoing fighting sa Butig area.
Yes, pati yung sinasabi mo na paano nakapag-ipon ng lakas ng ganito.
Yes. So,
paano nakapagpasok ng mga ganong klase ng mga armas na...
That's where the DILG has to come in to look into the yung mga local governments, no? Local officials, yung mga political clans. No? Sino ba pumapanig doon sa mga terorista?
Yes.
So that's where intelligence comes in. And we have to also beef up our counterintelligence because we must assume that we're infiltrated.
Meron na mga nandiyan dyan din na baka nagpi-feed naman sa'yo ng wrong information dahil kakampi naman ng kalaban. But with this happening, meron tayong war on drugs. Meron tayong ngayong nangyayari dito sa Marawi. How do you think this will be interrelated? Before you answer that, we'll pause for another break. Ito ang programang Bawal ang Pikon. Get it straight with Daniel Razon with former DILG Secretary Rafael Alunan III. So, ito hong nakikita natin ngayon na nangyayari dito sa Marawi, paano natin itong interrelate? Kasi meron din tayong war on drugs. Alam nyo naman, may pera yung nasa drugs. Tapos ngayon, eto, merong marawing group na ganito ang ginagawa. Of course, itong mga nasa drug syndicate, ayaw nila ng ginagawa ng gobyerno. Naapektuhan sila. Ito ba, pwede bang, na baka mamaya meron na nagpopondo mo nasa drugs din dito sa mga to? How do you see that?
Malaki ang posibilidad because matagal na nating alam that Lanao del Sur is a center point for drugs. At saka yung Maute, lumaki yan dahil they were also engaged in drugs. No? As a matter of fact, if you recall the Davao bombing, no? Ngayon lumilitaw na it was the Maute that did that in retaliation sa war on drugs of Digong. No? So, to me, I will not be surprised to read in an official intelligence report na nagsama-sama itong mga ito. Ang drug syndicates doon sa area, no? At saka yung mga terror groups. Kasi to begin with, the terror groups naman worldwide are also funded by hot money. And hot money coming from drug operations is one of them, no? So alam natin 'yan. So, I will not be surprised if the same thing is happening here in the Philippines.
What will you tell those who are opposing the declaration of martial law in Mindanao?
Well, I think we should give the President all the leeway to carry out his job as the #1 security manager of this country. Because he has all the information in his fingertips and therefore, he has a better appreciation of the situation. Give him all the leeway to do his job. Now, if there are abuses carried out by the security forces, that's the time that we will go to court and we will challenge not martial law but the specific abuses of those who engaged in it. And there's kasi this tendency by the opposition that exceptions become the rule. The abuses of some become the abuses of everybody. No, so I don't buy that.
No, but aside from martial law, aside from declaring martial law, is there any other way na naiisip po ninyo na pwedeng solusyon sa problema sa Marawi kung hindi idedeklara ang martial law?
Hindi, kasi long-term solution ito. Walang instant solutions. Kasi what we are seeing here is a manifestation of the problem globally.
So kasi sinasabi nila, pwede namang gawin din yung lahat ng ng militar, lahat ng mga gagawa ng yung lahat ng puwersa na pwedeng gawin diyan na hindi naman kailangan ideklara ang martial law. That's what they're saying.
Ang sagot ko diyan is addressing the whole of terrorist network requires a whole of nation approach. Whole of government and whole of society. We cannot be fighting each other while we are facing a coalition of terrorists from all over the world.
And therefore, we need to declare martial law, ganun po ba?
Well, martial law is a defensive weapon to enable the president to be on several steps ahead of the threat. Kasi malawak itong threat na ito eh.
Hindi, kaya nga, di ba mauwi ngayon dun sa pangamba nila na the possibility of declaring martial law nationwide is really,
they should not anticipate. They should just wait for things to develop. Yung jumping to conclusions is very dangerous because it's like in aid of the terrorists rather than in aid of the state and the people. So they should just hold their horses and stop speculating.
So you're saying, ba na one way or the other, those who are opposing martial law are somehow helping the terrorists?
Well, in a way, yes, because they're trying to obstruct the president and the security forces from carrying out their job, of ensuring the safety and security of the people. They should just hold back and wait for the developments on the ground to unravel or to show themselves. Now, kung may mga abuses, edi step in.
Ikasuhan.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Pero kung ikaw, how would you deal with those who are opposing martial law?
They let them speak and then I'll just ignore.
Okay. Parang
I'll just do what I have to do. Anyway, it's a democratic country. They're free to make a fool of themselves if they want to.
Did you really say that terrorism has come or will arrive in Manila? Or it's already here?
Well, we've had it for the longest time. For example, yung...
On what level?
At the level, Al-Qaeda. We had to deal with Al-Qaeda during our time. The super ferry that was blown up in Manila Bay. That was done by Al-Qaeda or Abu Sayyaf, no? Together with what they call the RSM, the Raja Sulaiman movement. We protected Pope John Paul. He was almost killed here in 1995. And our security forces prevented Opland Bujinka from taking place. Ito yung Opland Bujinka was the plan of the team of Sheikh Mohammed and Ramzi Youssef to plant bombs in 11 U.S. jetliners going to the U.S., flying out of Asian airports. And in the process, killing more than 3,000 passengers. No? Nag-dry run sila sa Philippine Airlines noong December 1994. Pero natuklasan namin yan when we were able to get his laptop, ang laptop ni Ramzi Youssef. And we decrypted yung kanyang coded plans. Unfortunately, notwithstanding all of the intelligence reports that we gave to the U.S., nalusutan ang U.S. ng initong grupo ni Sheikh Mohammed, when they carried out Opland Bujinka during 9/11, September 11, 2001. Instead of blowing up aircraft using bombs, they crashed it against buildings. No? Same group. So we've been dealing with global terrorism for the longest time. Before, during my time, it was Al-Qaeda. Today, it's ISIS. But they have one common interest and one common goal to bring back the old Islamic empire under a global caliphate.
Pero paano nyo tinitingnan ito na they're trying to digress it into a religious war? Kasi mayroong mga ganun na parang ipinopost sa social media itong mga miyembro nitong mga maute at gumagawa na sila na parang sinasabi nila na we are actually protecting the Muslims and parang pinag-aaway nila. Yung ganung klase. How do you look at it?
That's part of the strategy. In fact, that's central to their strategy to unify the Muslim community worldwide, which they call the Ummah. No? That was the goal of Osama bin Laden. That's the goal of Baghdadi. No? Because like all armies, no, you cannot fight without a community backing you up. Mga insurgents natin, they fight in areas where they have support from the barangays, the villages. Ganon din yung mga terorista natin.
Do you somehow feel that this might end up to be a religious war later on?
I don't think so. Kasi ang problema ng ISIS is that they have a very narrow definition of what they believe in. And anybody who doesn't subscribe to that, Muslim or non-Muslim, pinapatay nila. Okay. Number two, most Muslims, and I'm reading this in various publications worldwide, are already rising up against ISIS. Kasi sabi nila, hindi tunay na Muslim ito. No? They're being rejected. So, I think it's backfiring on them.
Okay.
Ang problema lang is that there are so many young recruits. There's so many ignorant people in the world.
Parang brainwashed na lang. Brainwashed
nadadala sila sa propaganda. No? And these are the recruits of the ISIS are those that have mga hinanakit against society. So they're easily recruited.
Pinag-aaralan na nga din daw ngayon ng militar yan kung paano nilang gagawin yung indoctrination na kagaya ng ginagawa indoctrination ng mga ganitong klase na, di ba parang talagang mga...
Hindi, it's not just the military, Kuya Daniel. This has to be taken up by society and the government as a whole. Kasi psycho-social impact ito.
Yes. Okay, may mga post ka, gaya nito. Mercenaries are responsible for the deaths and destruction in Marawi. Who are they working for? And for what? Post mo to sa FB. I think I know. And I will keep that to myself for now. For now, when you were writing that.
Yeah, the other day.
Oh, you were writing that the other day. But what about now?
Ganun pa rin. I'm still asking. I'm still asking people.
Pero
what
sabi
they
mo,
think.
di ba? Sabi mo, I think I know. Pero tanggalin ko na yung I'll keep that to myself. Can you share it with me? Para naman dalawa na tayo.
Just between you and me and the rest of the world. No? Okay yun.
Di ba? Parang...
Hindi, kasi mercenaries yan eh. So, that means they do this for money. So the question is, who are capable of paying these guys? No? Hindi lang local yan. Global din yan. For example, okay? Yung Qatar. Qatar was just exorcised by their fellow Gulf states because they're funding supposedly groups like ISIS. Okay? Saudi Arabia is also known for funding terrorist groups just like Qatar. And why are they doing that? Para hindi manggulo doon sa kanilang bansa. Kung gusto niyo, doon kayo sa labas.
Pa-fund namin kayo.
Pa-fund ka. Ito pera.
Pero wag kami ang guluhin yun.
Yun.
So, you think na merong gumaganon sa atin?
That's oil money.
Tayo pinagugulo.
That's oil money. And that's a lot of money funding these guys. Now, we're also talking about the possibility of a coalition of criminal syndicates.
Yes.
And kasi pera-pera lang naman yan eh. So, there's international drug syndicates in cahoots with in joint venture partnership with local drug syndicates, right? So, posible din yun. Right? And then, narco-politicians. Narco-politicians who are in bed with these criminal syndicates. Kaya't lumaki yung kanilang poder. At saka yung kayamanan dahil they're involved in drugs, no? How many of our officials elected and appointed are involved in drugs? So, all of these things have to be looked into by the government, particularly the intelligence community.
Okay. What do you mean when you said there is so much to do, undo, and redo in our country?
Magulo tayo eh. We're still evolving as a country and we're making a lot of mistakes. Some of those mistakes are mistakes of commission. Others are mistakes of omission. No? That's why we are what we are today. Magulo. No? So we have to evolve. We have to transform. Kaya ang battle cry nga is pagbabago.
Ito pa. Meron kang programa sa DCRH.
Oh, yes. Thinking out loud.
Kailan ka pa
Nag-umpisa?
Nag-isip na maging broadcaster?
Last year.
Last year. So how did you find it? How did you like the broadcast industry?
Okay naman kasi actually ang pumasok sa isip ko is I'm always being interrogated. Ako naman.
Sino nagpopondo sa'yo?
Wala. This is I'm being sponsored by PAGCOR and PCSO.
Okay.
And then we're still looking for government and private sector.
Pero once a week ka lang nagpo-program.
Once a week lang.
Are you not planning to expand it to an everyday instead of just posting sa
Hindi ko kaya.
FB?
Because I have other things to do.
Okay. So ngayon ay busy ka na din sa
So I have mass media and social media. So
Okay. Ano pa ba yung pinagkakaabalahan mo aside from that? Now that you are still waiting for whatever will be...
No, not waiting. I cannot wait. My life has to go on. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, it's okay. But that's not my main concern.
So anong main mo ngayon?
Well, two parts. As a citizen, in support of the government's policies, so I'm active in diplomacy through the Philippine Council of Foreign Relations. At the same time, something more confidential, I'm helping out sa security community. Okay? Then I have my own business, which is real estate. And I also sit on the board of a multinational. So that's enough to keep me busy.
Yes. Pero kung meron ngayong gusto kang masabi sa presidente na hindi mo pa nasasabi dahil di pa kayo nakikita ulit bukod dun sa April na pagkikita ninyo, which may mga updates na ng mga pangyayari. anong pinaka gusto mong masabi sa kanya na dapat na magawa kagad? Based on assessment mo ng lahat ng mga nangyayari ngayon.
Well, security is a precondition to development, no? There are actually two sides of the same coin. And it's important for him to address the security problem. However, there's still the development problem. We are not equitably developed. Hindi patas yung development. The benefits of development only favor a few. And it's not really seeping down to the majority. So that has to be addressed. Second, the quality of our governance has to be addressed. He has to put in the right people, yung appointees, no? At various levels of government. Hanggang, if you're looking at the bureaucracy, hanggang director level. So there's still thousands of jobs that need to be filled, no? And the choice, his choices will determine the quality of his administration. Okay. Pangatlo, yung unification, uniting the people is very, very important. So that's the reason why he's addressing the peace problem with various insurgent groups, no? So he's engaged in peace talks. But there has to be a better way of getting things done. Alam ko yung layunin niya eh. He wants to deliver the message na Filipinos should stop fighting each other and killing each other. It's time to unify. Because the problems that we face here and abroad require a whole of nation approach. We cannot fight divided. We have to fight united.
You support the president for certain. And sabi mo nga, his choice of people that will work with him in his administration will actually determine the kind of administration na meron siya. Nagkaroon na siya ng mga choices. Meron na mga nalagay dyan. At ngayon, nandiyan dyan, existing na. At meron pang mga dapat sigurong mga baguhin. Nakita mo ba na tama ba ang pagkakapili niya sa marami, sa mga taong nakalagay ngayon?
Well, that, again, I don't have full information. But I think where we can hope for improvement is, for example, in the traffic situation. Ano? Kasi malaking impact sa ekonomiya yan. Malaking impact sa productivity ng mga kumpanya. At malaking impact sa health ng ating mga workers, no? Ating mga kababayan. That has to be addressed in a holistic manner.
So okay ka sa pagkaka-appoint kay Danny Lim?
I know Danny very well. He's okay. But of course, it's too early for us to say how he will perform as the head of MMDA. No?
So you have observed already some of those that were appointed. Sino pinakaayaw mo?
Wala akong masabi about the ayaw because, like I said, I cannot just jump to conclusions. No?
Pero you have been observing, di ba? Dahil marami kang active ka din sa social media. And ngayon, nangongomentaryo ka na rin. Yung komentaryo mo is very,
against,
very significant.
Kuya Daniel, I talk about issues, not people.
Oh, yes. But of course, when it comes to issues, there will always be people behind the issues. And sometimes, it's actually the people who make the issues.
Correct. But
so, parang mahirap sabihin na i-separate mo yung issue sa tao.
No, what I'm trying to say is, no one has a monopoly of the problem or of the solution.
Correct.
Okay? So, the idea is for people to understand what the issue is so that the problems are not repeated by whoever
will sit there.
Is sitting there or will sit there. Yan ang punto ko dyan.
Yes, but of course...
Parang lessons learned ba?
Yes, but of course, when you saw your wife, you already know that you like her.
But that's a different story. That was love at first sight. Nakikinig
and of course, as time goes by, it has developed into a more sabihin na in a more intense love, di ba?
Very intense kasi misis eh.
Misis na.
Asawa bin Laden eh.
Asawa bin Laden. Of course, there are those who are now sitting and we have seen how they have worked already. So at first, merong mga tao na pagtingin mo, I like him there. Di ba? And then later on, you will like him more. Or sometimes, I like him there. And then later on, I don't like him anymore because of what he is doing. Or from the very beginning, I don't like him already. And then, I was right. I really don't like him. May ganun. Meron ka na bang ganun? Without actually saying,
It's too early. It's too early.
1 year na.
Yeah, but they're also very busy doing a lot. You know, a lot. Yung teamwork halimbawa.
Magaling ka rin umiwas eh.
Hindi.
Dapat ka, PCOO ka siguro eh.
Hindi, yung teamwork. Okay. Yung teamwork. If some of them are failing, it's because kulang sa teamwork. Now, what do I mean by that?
Bakit? May division? May division?
No, let me explain.
Sige.
When I used to head a company, okay, every year I would fill up a form and I would report to my boss.
Yes.
Okay? What are your goals for the year?
Yes.
Okay. What are your performance objectives?
Alignment.
No. Who will enable you to fulfill your mission? Okay? So, other people in the company. In other words, if they don't get involved, if they don't support me, I will not be enabled and I will fail.
Okay.
All right? What could disable you? So what are the risks or what are the threats to you to your performance? No? So we list them down also. Like hindi maganda yung benepisyo binibigay sa mga employees, so they're not motivated to work, no? Or our work conditions are terrible, no? So those are disablers. Now, I don't have enough information to say that this guy who is not performing very well is not performing because of this the enablers are not working.
Yes.
You know, I cannot prejudge. I hate prejudging. All I can say is that there are certain areas that will require improvement.
Very well said. Pero doon sa nakikita ninyo ngayon, anong area, anong departamento ang sa tingin niyo nangangailangan ng mas mahigit na improvement?
Okay, I think DOTR.
DOTR.
Yeah, because we're talking of mass transport.
Transport.
No? And the problem of the MRT is a serious problem. You know, last night, it took me 3 oras, you know, to move from DCRH, sa CCP complex, to my house sa New Manila.
Kaya madami ka na mapopost na.
Ang nangyari doon, marami akong talagang, hindi ako na-stress kasi I was doing social media sa kotse. Pero ang punto dyan, ang dami kong nakita mga stranded commuters, no? Hinintay yung bus, no? Nadagdagan yung traffic dahil sa dinagdagan ng DOTC yung bus as a fallback position to the fact na kukonting trend lang sa MRT, no? It cannot be like that all the time. You know, we have to fix this problem. It's been 1 year, no? And they haven't been able to fix it.
Ano kailangan doon? So, tingin nyo, mabago na tayo ng...
Hindi, ang problema yata goes back to the previous administration eh. Yung binili lang mga tren, bulok. Hindi magamit-gamit. Now, I do not know how they're resolving that thing, no? That is what the DOTR today should report. Ano yung problema nila in trying to fix the problem they inherited from the previous administration? We don't know enough eh.
Kala ko sasabihin mo, isang nag-aggravate ngayon ng problema mo sa traffic noong ayaw umusad naman ng internet mo. Kasi ang bagal noong mga internet connection. Dahil doon sa mga telco naman na... DITC naman yun. Oo, di ba? May panibago na ng problema. Traffic din yun eh.
But DITC is new. So they're still getting organized, no? Pero sa akin, they should address the cyber issues. Kasi it's a global problem. And we have to protect our data. We have to protect our computer systems. Kasi pag na-compromise yan, it will affect everybody, including our security community.
Are you happy now with the justice system we have?
No. That's the other thing. I was going to lead to that. Our criminal justice
Good
system...
thing I led you.
No, I was reserving that for the last day.
Okay.
Kasi from the very beginning pa lang, during the term of President Duterte, ang sinasabi ko sa kanya is, if you want to address the problem of injustice, conflict, armed conflict, the problem of impunity and exclusion, you have to fix the criminal justice system. Because the justice system is criminal at this point. There are 5 pillars of the criminal justice system, okay? 4 of those pillars belong to government. The last one is society. So, yung 4 pillars, ano yun? Police, prosecution, judge, jail. Bulok. Ang daming lubak-lubak. Kung highway yun, maraming lubak-lubak. And people who are brought before the criminal justice system can get out either by getting good lawyers or by paying off corrupt officials. No, we have to fix that. Otherwise, tuloy ang mga problema natin.
So are you happy now with how Secretary Vit Aguirre is performing?
It's not just VIT. VIT is only just one pillar.
Yes.
The criminal justice system has to be addressed by the national government as a whole. No? And this is where LEDAC has to come in because you will need the legislation to back the executive to reform the criminal justice system. And you have to involve the Supreme Court in this kasi silang namamahala.
But don't you think that mas malaki ang problema natin sa implementation?
Sila namamahala ng judicial pillar. No? So, kasi one step at a time yan eh. First, you have to look at the gaps sa
closing gaps. No?
You have to close the gaps, no, to include the implementation gaps. But the most important is, if you don't clean up each of these pillars, if you don't get rid of the scalawags, you will always have implementation problems. So the whole idea is to get rid of the scalawags, put in the right people, so that you can reduce your implementation.
And you believe marami pang scalawags?
Marami pa. Of course,
so,
that's objective.
Sa fight against corruption ng gobyerno na ginagawa ngayon,
they're distracted. They're distracted by terrorism, drugs, and all that. But eventually, they'll have to get down to the problem of corruption. Kasi yan that's the one weighing down the country.
So, mga ilang percent pa lang sa tingin mo kung sa pag-corruption problem ang pinag-uusapan natin ang medyo na-address? Kung meron man.
I'll give you a good example. During my time, inumpisa namin ni Presidente Ramos ang paglinis ng PNP. Okay? Sa umpisa, tinanong namin yung command group, ilang porsyento ba, at that time I had 100,000 police, ilang porsyento ba ng PNP are carrying the institution on their shoulders? Ang tanong eh, 25 to 30%. So that's 25,000 to 30,000 out of 100,000. How many percent are mediocre and need to be retrained? Tansya nila 50%. So, sa mga tuwid, yung scalawags, were about 25 to 30% or 25,000 to 30,000. In the 4 years that we were cleaning up the PNP, starting with yung shock treatment na ginawa namin, early retirement of 63 generals and colonels, no? In one fell swoop yun. It was followed by the retirement of and filing of cases against 3,000 more officers, no? But the reason why tumagal yan is because we lost our powers of discipline when the PC was divorced and placed under a civilian institution. So we were subjected to the civilian judicial and legal processes, no, na matagal. In the case of the military, they can easily address and quickly address problems of discipline, ano? So in the 4 years that I was there, we were only able to get rid of 3,000 plus, and we had about 17,000 to go. No? Now, that was when we were 100,000. Today, the police is 180,000. Now, assuming, let's say, 20% lang are scalawags, that's 36,000 to get rid of. That's a lot.
But are you happy with how General Bato is managing the Philippine National Police?
Well, you know, he needs all the backing from the president, from the legislature. First, there must be a strategic plan to clean up the criminal justice system. They cannot do this in isolation.
Yes.
Dapat sabayan.
Yung mga pagtrato ngayon dun sa mga drug...
And it's not the question of Bato that's going to strategize that. It will be the DILG itself.
Yes.
And APOLCOM.
So sa nangyayari ngayon na fight nila against drugs, are you happy with what is happening?
Well, it will take a long time kasi malaki din problema eh. Walang instant cure ito eh.
Kung ikaw ngayon ang DILG Secretary, what would be the first marching order that you will give sa ating Philippine National Police?
Of a clean house. Because we cannot fight the enemy if the enemy is within. It's simple.
Well, good luck and looking forward to seeing you again maybe
The next interview?
in the next interview.
I'm ready tomorrow.
Dapat bago ano. Tsaka baka bukas makalawa, pwede ka na magprograma dito. Pag may time ka na, sir. Maraming salamat po. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
Baka susunod, artista ka na. Looking young eh. Former DILG Secretary Rafael Alunan III. Dito lamang po sa programang Bawal ang Pikon. Get it straight with Daniel Razon.